Hello, my fellow Vault Hunters. What's up? Open World Games here, and you guessed it, we've got some more Borderlands 3 news today. We're talking about the end-game content. So, a lot of stuff to go over related to that. Then we're going to have some, a little bit of Anthem news later on, but this is primarily Borderlands 3. So, let's dive into this right now. So, first of all, this comes from Randy Pitchford. He was asked this by Thoma, who asks, how beefy is the in-game in Borderlands 3? Is it as beefy, if not beefier, than Borderlands 2? Borderlands 2 lasted as long as it has because of how much you could do after the main story. Borderlands 2 has DLC story, headhunter bosses, raid bosses, etc. Will that stuff return but more? And Randy Pitchford goes on to confirm the following: yes, that stuff will return but more. So, it sounds like once you complete the story in Borderlands 3, there's still going to be plenty to do, and we know that's been a big problem with recent games that, are centered around looter-shooter mechanics and stuff. So that's great to know going forward with Borderlands 3, and I am so hyped to hear about the in-game being as extensive as, even more extensive it seems, than Borderlands 2. Alright, so let's talk about melee weapons. This was also confirmed. Scott Jackson says this: hey Randy, I can't wait for Borderlands 3, but I have a question I understand if you can't answer. But will there be any melee weapons available? It's one of my biggest hopes, as it would give more variety to melee characters and give them something to loot too. So Randy Pitchford confirms 1 billion guns, one offhand melee weapon. So melee weapons aren't going to be the focus in Borderlands 2, Borderlands 3, excuse me, but they are going to be present with like one offhand weapons and stuff like that. And you're probably wondering about crossplay, so let's get into this one. Beep Boop says this: hey, can you give us an estimate on when you could say something definitive about crossplay and cross progression, or even cross saves for Borderlands 3? I'd love to play with Xbox friends, but I'd rather have my PC graphical fidelity, and I completely understand where he's coming from on that one. The response was from Randy Pitchford: no promises until it is done and everyone is playing well with one another. It's not done and not everyone is playing well with one another. And I believe he is talking about, of course, whether it's Sony, Xbox, and so on. It looks like there's some negotiations that need to be done and finalized before they can come out and say, hey, everything's good to go with crossplay. We are fine and dandy with that one. But yeah, I'll keep you guys in the know what happens with all this crossplay stuff. Alright, so next up, companion apps. Will we be seeing that? So, Wolf and Saint says this: a companion app for Borderlands 3 could be fantastic. Something with some sort of mini-games or puzzles that could unlock stuff in-game, gold keys, heads, and skins, etc. And Randy Pitchford replies saying, we're focused on game design for the main game rather than mini games. So it seems like the companion app for now is not going to be a focus for Borderlands 3, but man, that would be so cool to be able to open up your phone and maybe, mess around with your loadout, check out your weapons, and upgrade your character and just take a look at your skins and stuff like that. That would be really cool, but is it really necessary? I hope that they, of course, focus their time on what's really, really important. It seems like that's what they're doing. Alright, so let's talk about the 3D map. So this is really cool. As you guys know, Borderlands 2, as you can see here, had a 2D map. Well, Borderlands 3 is going to have a 3D map, as confirmed by this article here. Sources in the description below. It says, when it comes to traversing the map in Borderlands 3, it appears as if Gearbox will be providing players with an updated UI that gives them a 3D minimap to help navigate the game's various environments. As some Borderlands fans may recall, the original game only had a compass rather than a minimap, and Borderlands 2 featured a traditional 2D minimap, so it will be interesting to see how well Gearbox incorporates this enhanced feature in Borderlands 3. And I'd imagine a 3D minimap would help traversing the environment in terms of, elevation, so what's kind of above you, what's below you. So I think in that regard, that could be super helpful for sure. Now, let's talk about more pre-sequel content. They've added stuff to Borderlands 2, which is really cool to see that they have been doing that. It's almost like they're in a way celebrating with the current existing community for the arrival of Borderlands 3 through Borderlands 2. But a lot of people are wondering, hey, will we see new pre-sequel content ahead of Borderlands 3? So this is what Randy had to say here. We love the pre-sequel, but we have to move forward. Sadly, the studio that helped us with that game has shut down, which is a bummer to hear, of course. But yeah, there is the news about pre-sequel content. Looks like it's a no-go there. How many of you are sad about that one? Honestly, I'm ready for Borderlands 3 for sure. Now, this was hilarious. There's some information about Claptrap from Borderlands 2 and one of the funny scenes, how it actually came to be. So, Eric says this, just started replaying Borderlands Game of the Year. I was wondering, is Claptrap hitting its head on the opening of Freystone a homage to the Stormtrooper doing the same in Star Wars? Can't wait for Borderlands 3, by the way. Great question. There. Now, Randy Pitcher goes on to say, no, when we first implemented a prototype scene with Claptrap, a bug caused him to bump into the door before it opened all the way. It was faster and funnier for the designer scripting the moment to just play an ooh sound instead of fixing the door. Timing the joke survived. That is absolutely hilarious. So, the more you know right there about the Borderlands franchise. I personally love Claptrap. I know some people don't like Claptrap, but I consider him, again, the R2-D2 of the Borderlands universe. Alright, so I promised you guys some Anthem updates here. So we have some Anthem updates. Some of you guys may have been following this game. You're probably wondering, what is going on with Anthem. You know that it has had a horrible launch, and the in-game content just isn't there. So let's get into this update right now about Anthem. So recently, there have been job listings posted for Anthem. I know the job listing should have been all figured out before the game release, but it looks like they're going to be looking to really fix this game and maybe, just maybe, relaunch it completely in a year in some way under a different name. No Man's Sky is doing that. But here's some new job listing that says System Designer 1, Item Creation and Design. Bioware is looking for a creative and passionate System Designer 1 with the experience of item creation to join the studio in either Austin or Edmonton to work on the newest IP Anthem. Now, this is an important role in a looter shooter like Anthem. The system designer is responsible for creating a system of itemization that players can understand, but they're also responsible for creating interesting and compelling choices with the combat team. They also ensure that the properties on items work the way intended, which, as you may know, if you played Anthem, there's been problems with that big time where some things, inscriptions, what have you, just aren't working properly. So they really want someone that's experienced with that. Now, they're also looking for a system designer for store and reward pipeline. It says they are looking for a creative designer with experience in store management and reward pipelines to join the studio in Austin or Edmonton for, of course, Anthem. Now, the role will handle both store flow and creation, also ensuring not just the data that comes from managing the store, but also the flow of all the rewards in the game. So the game has compelling rewards in every avenue offered by the experience. This role also reviews access to the types of items that come in through the pipeline to ensure that the players are getting what they want. So, the biggest problem with the storefront, it's been horrible in terms of some of the decals that have been offered. And that's the same thing with the vanity chests that were introduced. As you guys know, though, there were just items in there that people just didn't want. People were like, what in the world is this? So they're getting someone in there to really fine-tune that and look over that. Of course, it should have been done at the very beginning. But again, they're making those adjustments. But next up, we have a System Designer 2 for combat balance. Now, Bioware is looking for a creative and passionate. They just mentioned that. Combat balance, join, blah, blah, blah. Same thing. For Anthem, it says this role is responsible for moment-to-moment tuning of the game, ensuring that the player and monster abilities are equivalent in ways players understand. This role will work closely with the item designers to ensure their assumptions about the player power matches the awesome items in the game world. That's definitely very interesting. It's basically making sure that everything is balanced in the world, that most likely doesn't feel too easy or too hard, dependent on whatever is introduced in the world. And that's super important that they, of course, get that nailed down right in Anthem. Now, you guys know that I've been covering Anthem extensively, and I've been jumping in it from time to time. And then we have news coming up here about the next big content drop, April update, which is going to be including that new stronghold. We should be hearing about the mastery system here shortly. There's going to be an entire live stream tomorrow. I will have you guys covered on that one. But hopefully they begin nailing down some of this stuff. But as you can see, considering that they're hiring people right now, it looks like they have a long road ahead of them in terms of the core experience, some of these core mechanics that have to be kind of reworked and rebuilt. And the head of live service, of course, has mentioned that it's going to take months for a lot of the loot adjustments to really kick in. They're going to be doing like incremental changes in between, but a lot of people really want a core reason to keep playing. Even with the new content, they want to know that they are truly rewarded going forward. So I'll keep you guys in the know as to what happens with Anthem and, of course, yes, Borderlands 3. I'm so hyped for that one. There's going to be a big gameplay event May 1st. Look out for all the coverage here at Open World Games. It's going to be massive. It's going to be a whole gameplay blowout. There's going to be live streams happening, all sorts of cool stuff. I'm hyped about it. It's going to be taking place in LA, so look out for brand new details on that one. But as always, everyone, thank you so much for the support on the videos throughout the years. For real, it means the world to me. And yeah, look out for more news and coverage. Thank you all again, and I will see you next time, and soon enough, in Borderlands freaking 3. Can you believe it? Thank you all. Take care.